So hi there, you amazing people. So today I wanted to talk to you about having more life in your life, share 7 reasons why you don't have more of it right now, and share what you should be doing about it. So let's get started. The first thing that I want you to know is that having more life in your life is personal. That means it's not what society thinks you should have, or your mum and dad, or your partner. It's about what having more life in your life means to you. And you need to be very, very clear about that. You need to be aware of where these external pressures are coming from, but still have the strength and the freedom to choose. Without that, you're not going to have more life in your life. The first place to start right there is defining what that really looks like to you. It's difficult to hit a target that you can't see. So you need clarity on what more life in your life really means. You need to set those goals. If you don't set the goals, what you're going to be doing is comparing yourself to everybody else out there. And wherever you are comparing yourself to other people, you're on a race to the bottom and you're never going to have more life in your life. You're also going to need to insulate from all these pressures, which means building in fewer distractions and more feedback loops so you can know that you are making more progress. Sometimes you'll hear me say that we're only 6 inches away from everything that we want in our life. And what I'm talking about is emotional intelligence, which is the second area I want to tell you about. The truth is that we really are emotional creatures that think we're not the other way around. And we need to be okay with that, because that's the truth. And if we can't embrace that and then manage our emotions, then we're going to be ruled by them all the time. And wherever we're ruled by our emotions, we are not going to have any more life in our life. Now, for me, it starts with having more self-esteem. Now, that is not about anything other than accepting ourselves for who we really are. Warts and all, nobody is perfect. At all. Perfect is an idea. It's not true. So we need to be clear about who we are and then be confident showing up authentically as who we are and owning that. And at that point, we feel less like an imposter. The next area under emotional intelligence is really understanding how your experience is being created moment to moment. And if you can do that, then what you can get hold of is your fears, because it's mostly our fears which are holding us back from doing the things that often we know that we really should. And when we're in charge of our fears, we worry less. We have less stress. There's less fear of the unknown, because we are capable of trusting that we are capable of knowing that we will just adapt and overcome whatever gets thrown at us. And we will be okay as a result, because security is coming from within. And that includes issues around money as well. Money is such an area of worry for us. If we're worrying about it, it's not going to help. So we need to use our emotional intelligence to be able to see money like any other resource. It's just a tool that we use to enable things. The next area under emotional intelligence that we really need to get a handle on is these distinctions between I need to, I should, and I want to. We need to be very, very clear that those are 3 separate things and choose them appropriately. We also need a growth mindset. If you think that you are stuck as you are, that's going to hold you back from having more life in your life. And the truth is, nobody is stuck. We have something called neuroplasticity, which enables us to create new neurons, connections, and grow as humans. And we need to embrace that, because who we are becoming is way more important than who we've been in the past. So we need to get in charge of our emotions in that space. The next area I want to talk about why we don't have this is because of the way that we approach work. Now, most people are working for a living. Now, the issue with working for a living is freedom and time. Essentially, wherever we're working for a living, we have the most basic transactional exchange where we're swapping time for money, but it's completely and utterly transactional. There is no emotional engagement in that. And as I said earlier, we really are emotional creatures that think. So We need to be emotionally engaged in the work that we do. Now, the flip side of that is living for a living. Now, this is about doing something that you love. Now, I can promise you, wherever you are doing something that you truly love, you will never work a day in your life. And the only time it really becomes a problem is when you feel like you can't decide to do something. So if you're in complete control, if you've got that autonomy, you will never work a day in your life. Now, a lot of it comes down to when you're in flow states. States of flow are being in the zone where time has no meaning and you're unaware of your outside conditions. Now, that's a good indicator of whether or not you're in the right ballpark place for this. Now, here's the thing. If it feels like work, you're either doing it wrong or you're doing the wrong thing for you. So you need to flip that. You need to be living for a living in that space. Now, next area I want to talk about is about time and your relationship with time. So the first thing is about giving more time to look after yourself. Not just your physical health, but your mental health and your personal development and growth as well. Also, being present. Most of us spend nowhere near enough time actually being present in the actual moment. But here's the big thing here, is that there is only now. The past is nothing more than thoughts about things that happened in the past and our ideas of them. And then thinking about the future is just stuff that we're making up. The only place where life really exists is now. The future doesn't exist as a concept. There's only now. And we need to be focused on that. Now, I'm not suggesting that we go all hedonic here. What I'm suggesting is something called eudaimonic, which is having 1.5 eyes on now and half an eye on the future, because what we do now will influence what we experience next. But life is only ever experienced now, in this one moment. One area you can know that you're doing better in time is whether or not you feel like you're rushing around from one thing to the other. If you want more life in your life, you need to stop rushing. My next area I want to tell you about is about habits, routines, and systems. Now, here's a big thing here. We all will fail at the level of our habits, systems, and routines. Now, I'm not talking about being a slave to our habits and our routines. I'm talking about being organized to get more stuff done and about being really efficient about the things which really make a difference in our life and letting go of everything else. Letting go of everything else gives you more time. So it's about fixing what you're going to do and being very, very focused and stopping making this stuff up. Now, if we can do this, what we have is less stuff, less things going on. So let me tell you a little bit about having less and how that relates to having more life in your life. I'm talking about less time second guessing yourself because you can trust your instincts and you're in charge of your emotions. There's less interruptions, so there's less information overload, so you have more time to think and more time to be. You are less in need to control stuff. So there's less conflict going on in your life. So it's easier to say no to people. And that gives you more peace of mind. There's less tangible collection of stuff because your stuff isn't defining you. It's not what actually really defines people. It's a complete race to the bottom. If you ever read any of Bronnie Ware's work, you can see that the regrets of the dying have nothing to do with stuff. It's more of the formless, the intangible stuff that makes a difference. More space and better relationships. If you want more life in your life, you need to have less of those things. Now, if you ask people what they really want in life, they're all going to tell you they want to be happy. Now, happy has got nothing to do with stuff. Happy is a feeling. It's not a thing. You need to be clear about that. You are calibrating your happiness based on a feeling, but everything that you are doing, collecting of things, a label here, is driving you as a hope to have more happiness. But happiness doesn't work like that. Happiness comes as a story. It's a story we're telling ourselves about ourselves. The last area I want to talk to you briefly about is about belief. Now, in 1954, Roger Bannister was the first man to run a 4-minute mile. Now, before that, everybody thought it was impossible, but Roger did it. Now, that's an amazing feat, but what's more interesting is that the year after, 2 other people did it, and the year after, more people, and now lots of people can do that. And the difference is that they realised it was possible once Roger had done it. So if you don't believe that it's possible to, define your own personal views, get in charge of your emotions, really live for a living, manage your time, be really, really organised and say no to so much other stuff, then you're not going to have more life in your life. You've got to believe it. Now, if you're serious about this, here's a couple of things that I really want you to do. If you go on my website, there's a values quiz that you can take. Now, this is going to give you a compass to be able to navigate with. And if you also look on there, what you'll see is an epic life vision structure for you to be able to fill in your goals for the future around having more life in your life. Now, you don't need to do it all by yourself, and you don't need to do it all at once. But if you want to have more life in your life, you're really going to need to do it. You can't leave this to chance and make it up. It's an invitation to really own this. Now, most of us will way overestimate what we can get done in a day or a week. But everybody underestimates what they can achieve in a year or 2 years. Now, the best day is always the one that you're in. So my suggestion is that you go and start that right now. And I'll see you soon.